Aubrey, do you encourage other people to try uh, building agents for work functions?
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to not just build agents, but to try out tools like N8N. Not every business is going to benefit from something like this, like a pitch deck expert or an AI agent. Sometimes it might just be way more simple, but play around with any sort of AI tool, even if it's just for a month.
Welcome to Practical AI, everybody. My name's Jeff. I'm here with Peter Lynn and a guest today, Aubrey. Before we get into that, though, Practical AI is brought to you by Pocket AI. Pocket AI is a tool you can use to perform surgery on your models to make them better. You can stabilize, you can prune, and you can give your model amnesia. Finally, you can train smaller models on smaller data sets that perform better than giant models. Um, Aubrey, welcome. Thanks for coming to our podcast. You have a story to tell about an agent that you've been working on, and we're very interested in this topic because agents are all the rage. And we'll get into the details, but you've done this from scratch and you're not particularly technical. But before we get into that, I want to talk about an AI win. Peter, looks like the Chinese are at it again, and they have come out with an awesome model for video. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
this group.
so it's another version of Hilo. They just released it this week, and it's even better than the previous version, which is already better than the VO and OpenAI. And so it's just got even better, which is nice. And it's open source, and you can try it online if you want. So if you watch that video, it's doing some pretty nice stuff now. And the main thing is the physics is really good. I mean, some things like this fight still looks a little bit weird because those ninjas flipping in technically they flipped in, but it doesn't look right. That's not a real. Those flips are weird.
Yeah, so the physics is always kind of or at least recently, it's been sort of the problem. Um, but more and more improvements there. Now, do you think that they are doing anything unique with their training, or is this just better uh, the art of data and the art of how you train?
I don't know the details, but clearly they're doing something different than what Google and OpenAI are doing. Yeah,
Okay, so
because
here's a comparison between three different
mhm,
versions, right?
yep. Sora 2 is OpenAI, and the one on the bottom is Google VO 3.1.
And is it still one of those things where it's, a giant prompt produces something really cool, but it's only about six seconds of video?
Yeah, it's only 6 or 10 seconds, but you can run that model on your laptop on your MacBook.
Oh, do you know how big it is?
No, but it runs on your laptop, which is better than you can't run Sora on your laptop.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. We'll put a link there so that people can check it out. But our main topic today is agents built by business people. Aubrey, welcome to our little podcast here. Appreciate you coming on. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, the company you work for, and what your business objective was as you were looking at this agent.
Hi, yeah, I'm Aubrey. I work for Concord USA. It's an IT consultancy. I work on the marketing team, so I do a lot of like regular marketing stuff, social media, email campaigns, newsletters, all that stuff. But from the beginning, I was interested in finding a way to implement AI, specifically agents, into my job. Particularly in marketing, there's a lot of opportunity for automation. A lot of things don't need to take as long as they do take right now. So, right away, I was kind of trying to find out the workflows that my team was using on a daily basis and what they were repeating over and over again to find ways to kind of shorten those workflows and have an automation tool maybe for certain things that we were doing. So, one of the things that I found was their process of building PowerPoint decks is pretty much the same every time. And their is somewhat of a disconnect between different teams of the business. So there's a delivery side that's full of people who are technical and understand the projects that are being worked on, and then there's the business side of it, where the salespeople and the marketing teams put this information together, but they might not know the technical side of it. So basically my agent is combining all of the files that we've made in the past with all of the information on the technical projects we've done. And it uses that information to create new pitch decks. So it helps with writing. The storytelling piece of it is important, and then also pulling together files from all over our SharePoint database.
Peter, I'm sure you might have some technical questions, but Aubrey, if you don't mind, can you show us a little bit of the sort of architecture of this, and how did you do this? Like, how did you pull this off if you're not particularly technical?
Yeah, I can show my agent. I'll kind of go through kind of the architecture and how it works. So basically what happens is, and I can talk about how I figured out all of this as someone who's not super technical as well. I'll just start by going through how it works. So basically I've connected to our Microsoft Teams. N8N, this platform that I'm working on, makes it really easy. All of the connections are done like within N8N. So things like Microsoft Teams, they make it super easy. You can connect just by signing into your Teams account. There are more complex ways to do it as well. So like I've connected via API to other things. But yeah, so the trigger for this workflow is a message in a Teams channel. So you can see over here, this is the Teams channel I have pulled up. So once someone messages in this Teams channel, the agent is triggered. I have this HTTP request, which basically goes into that Teams channel and gets the information once it's triggered of what the message says and passes that along. So this bot filter is just there so that there's no problem of infinite looping, because since this is a channel, the agent or the workflow will be triggered every time a message is sent. So the response itself might trigger a workflow. So I have this filtering out anything that says bot message. You can see it says at the end of every message that it sends back. Then the agent, this is like the biggest part, and probably the part that took the most back and forth. So I just have this long, so this is basically what goes into it, which is the step before of pulling out the message from the Teams. And then I just give it a role. I tell it, this is your job. You're building pitch decks for salespeople. I give it objectives, what it's supposed to do. So it's supposed to go through a vector database, find content that's relevant, use our Conquered language, and then assemble a tailored pitch deck for the salesperson. So right now I have it only creating a text outline. The goal would be eventually it would actually put that information into a branded and formatted template PowerPoint. But yeah, that's basically how the system prompt works. I think, is there anything else part of this? Oh, and then finally, yeah, this was a big part of it, was giving it formatting instructions. So I ended up giving it HTML formatting, which is it's what works the best with the Teams channel that I'm using. There are other formatting options you can do, but this is the one that worked the best. So then finally, the agent with that information goes through all of its tools. So it's connected to an LLM, and then it has simple memory, so it can remember like a couple, let's see, I think it's like the past 5 interactions or something. So you could ask follow-up questions and it would still remember what it gave you the previous chat. This is our database of SharePoint files. So we have access to a certain folder of our SharePoint files, and the AI team put together this vector database, and basically it goes through the database just by like rag searching. And this is the query. So it takes whatever request you gave it. I think this was the most recent one I did. I asked for it to find data migration projects we've worked on. So it builds out queries to go along with that. And then it searches the database and it finds these chunks of text. And then along with it, it will send the source, so the link to go along with whatever file it pulled out. It's connected to this embeddings tool. Basically, that's just part of the searching process, and these are all of the things it's finding based on the query that I gave it. And then I'll go back to the editor. After it does that, I gave it a think tool. That's just like something that N8N does to give it one last step to like think about its response. And then it just sends that message back to that Teams channel. So then this is what the Teams channel looks like. So you asked for a pitch deck for one of your clients, and you said some background information about the client. And then this is actually kind of cool because this is an error that occurred. So this is kind of cool how it handles errors. So it said max iterations, and you question that, and then it was actually able to fix that and fix the error without you having to re-explain yourself, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so this is what the output looks like. Gives you slide numbers, what goes onto the slides in bullet point format.
Whoa. All right, so some basic questions. First one is, do you like this platform or not?
So I don't think, like, as someone who doesn't know how to code, this platform has made it easier to connect all these things together, for sure. I couldn't just like hard code this by myself. Mm-hmm. Someone that I'm working with on other like AI agent projects, he's using LangChain, and he's having success with that. I don't think, like, when he pulls up his window, I'm like, there's no chance I could do that by myself. So I would say that I do like N8N because it is easy to use for someone like me who's not super technical. I spend most of my time just like going back and forth with ChatGPT or some version of an LLM to ask questions and figure out how to fix any problems I run into. The bummer is that it's supposed to be really easy, but you're kind of at the mercy of whatever formatting they have already chosen. So you helped me earlier with like the formatting problem that I was having. It was dumping all the text out as just like one big block of text, and I spent probably 2 weeks trying to figure out the formatting for it to be a 2-minute change that I had to make.
Right.
So yeah, like going back, if I had to start over and remake this whole workflow, it could take me probably a couple hours. Right. Like, it doesn't take a long time to set up, but it's a lot of back and forth with figuring out like errors and how to reformat whatever you're doing to fit into this specific formatting.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. So in terms of documentation and making it user friendly, how would you rate N8N?
They have a pretty good like forum system. Like, I had a problem and people were responding within like 24 hours and giving me advice on what to do, and then like following up with me, and that was pretty nice that they have like a good community forum, and a lot of people are using it. So they have a full database of people already asking the questions that you might have been running into the same problems. So I would say in that way it's good. I think they have some issues with, just like I said before, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever they've chosen as, formatting. We had a problem with, we couldn't get it connected to the right folder.
Yep. Yes. Yep.
And it's like, they don't do a great job of explaining, like, this is really important, the table name. So we spent on the phone probably like an hour at least, and I spent a long time just trying to figure out that one thing.
Aubrey, what was the feedback like on this when you presented this to the sales team?
The feedback was pretty positive. People thought it was cool and liked it. I haven't really had people actually using it. Like, all of these responses, pretty much for the most part, are either when I initially asked them to try it for the first time, or it's just me going back and forth with the agent by myself. So I think the next step is like, how is this actually going to be helpful to people where they'll want to pull it up and use it on their own?
But
To me, it's cool. Like, it's cool that they had a positive reaction to it, but like that, I don't really care if they have a positive reaction. I really care more that they actually use it.
you picked a use case that is happens in batch, right? It doesn't happen every day. A salesperson is not using pitch decks or creating pitch decks every day, so it might be one of those things that you know, you get a bolus of these that come through.
Yeah.
And then the question is there another purpose then that this bot could be used for, this chatbot could be used for? But I also curious, when you presented this, you have a lot of technical jargon that you're using, and you said you're not technical. How long did it take you to get to the point where you could speak about this at a technical level, and how long did it take you to do this generally?
So I started working on this agent at the beginning of August. It's the end of October now. Like I said, I have I have other parts of my job that I have to work on. This isn't the only thing I work on. So I probably try to spend at least an hour a day working on this, but a lot of it is just like going back and forth with ChatGPT. And I think that was the biggest thing that taught me about the jargon and understanding the backside of all of this. I just spent time asking questions, and it would answer in technical jargon that I didn't understand. So I would just say, like, you need to explain that to me. I have no idea what you're talking about. So that, and then talking with Peter, talking with people on the AI team about it over and over again, I started to kind of pick up on all the jargon. And I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on any of this stuff still. I can put it into a sentence, and that's really about it.
So if you had to train another business person to use it, what would be your top 3 tips?
To use N8N or to use this agent?
To use N8N or the agent, or both?
To use N8N, I think it's probably similar to really trying any AI tool. You need to first figure out what automation you're going to work on. So spend time like working through the workflows that you repeat. Once you identify those, you can find ways where AI can automate them, and then just play around with tools like this, doing probably the same thing I did, going back and forth with ChatGPT and going onto the forums and reading through people's problems and how they fixed their problems. That's definitely my advice.
Aubrey, do you encourage other people to try building agents for work functions? And if so, what's sort of the bare minimum either level of interest, time, or technical skill they need to have in order to take on that challenge?
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to not just build agents, but to try out tools like N8N. Not every business is going to benefit from something like this, like a pitch deck expert or an AI agent. Sometimes it might just be way more simple. Like, we use Riverside for recording these podcasts. It's a simple tool and it's really helpful. But play around with any sort of AI tool. Even if it's just for a month, there's a lot of free tools and cheap tools out there. I would say the more you play around with tools like N8N, the more interest and the more you'll find ways to use AI in everything you do, which is kind of funny. I don't think that you need to have any sort of background knowledge in AI to get started on these things. They make it really easy to, this is pretty much plug and play. Like, if you have the API codes and all that stuff, you can just plug that stuff in and get going on things. Especially if you're doing something simple like automating like a blog post from like typing in a simple, like one sentence, to having it create a full blog post, you're just connecting it to, it's just like a wrapper for ChatGPT basically, and then it's hopefully like posting it somewhere for you. But yeah, just play around with these tools, and the more you play around with it, the more you'll find other places where you can add AI into your business and workflows.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing this with us. It's really impressive. I know there's a lot of people out there that are thinking about agents. It's all the rage, but the whole thought of creating one from scratch is overwhelming, I think, for most people, especially in business. And yet the business people have probably the best point of view on what an agent can do to help. So appreciate your story, and we will post links and stuff to all the stuff we've talked about in the description box. And be sure to follow us on Spotify. We are there as well if you like the audio version. In the meantime, we will be back next time with another topic. Thanks, everybody.